Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Skaters on the Grind. I am your host, the Skate Informant, and today's story was sent in by a skater who works with the criminally insane. You heard right. Not just the insane, criminally insane. Like, these people have serious charges and felonies in their files, yet the skater works every day to rehab these people and somehow still manages to skateboard during his lunch break. I mean, the guy must be insane himself for even putting himself in this position, but I think there's some strong takeaways and lessons learned from his story. And heck, perhaps with the information he shared with us, some of you guys may be interested in working in that field or just wanting to learn more about it to maybe entertain that possibility. Guys, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The skater that sent in his story, his name is Jonathan Santiago-Cook. He actually lives in Hawaii, Honolulu to be exact. And he was able to turn his passion, his art, creativity, photography, and skateboarding into a career in the mental health space. He currently works as a clinical art therapist at the Hawaii State Hospital, a psychiatric facility where he works with the criminally insane, amongst other patients, of course, not just all that, but under the recreation therapy umbrella. His work, so what he does on a daily basis, spans the gym, the art room, the farm, bro. All centered around rehabilitating and healing his patients. I know this sounds pretty like goals on paper, but he didn't start there. We all had to start at the bottom, quote unquote. And Jonathan's story is no different. He began his professional workforce history at a local skate shop. What do you know? I've never heard that before, right? He lived in New York in Kingston and worked at TSX Skate Shop. It shut down eventually, so RIP, TSX Skate Shop in Kingston. However, that always allows skaters to enter and understand the concept of what is clocking in, clocking out. What are customers? What is selling? What are profits? So amazing start. And I thank skateboarding for giving Jonathan this opportunity. His intro, if you will, to making money. After the shop closed, he studied business and photography at community college and later moved to Hawaii with the skate friend, spending a few years skating, surfing, and working odd jobs. I've never heard that one before either. He ran out of money later and returned home and spent several years in the restaurant industry before deciding to take his future more seriously. In 2008, Jonathan enrolled in City College of New York and studied photography. While living poor and surviving on student loans, something unexpected happened. He discovered a genuine love for learning and his interest in art deepened. He became fascinated with psychology after discovering a book about analyzing children's drawings. That moment led him to art therapy, prompting him to double major in art and psychology with the goal of entering a graduate program. Jonathan earned his art therapy degree in 2014, motivated by art and becoming a father while still in school. Seeking long-term stability and union work, he pursued hospital-based therapy and roles that landed him in California State Hospital, where he worked for 6 years as a rehabilitation therapist, earning a strong salary and gaining critical experience. In 2022, he accepted a pay cut to join the VA in Honolulu, helping launch an art therapy program so he could raise his family in Hawaii, a dream he had since his early 20s. After political and administrative instability at the VA, he transitioned to the Hawaii State Hospital, where he remains today. While the pay is lower, the work is deeply fulfilling and aligned with his values. Throughout it all, skateboarding never left his life. He still skates during lunch breaks and weekends, stays connected to skate communities, and even works near the skate park. Jonathan's story shows that skateboarding, art, and empathy, critical one, empathy, can evolve into meaningful professional careers. And that fulfillment doesn't always follow the highest paycheck, but the path that feels the most true. So let me start there. That was a summary of Jonathan's email. It was quite lengthy, but Jonathan, I told you, I read the whole thing. There was just like a summary from AI. So summarize your email. Let me give you my interpretation of your timeline But then we're going to extract the financials and the educational requirements if you, some of you, would like to join or enter that field. But here's my take. Like many of us, dude, come on. We don't start off with knowing what a freaking job is. Somebody needs to give us a chance. The skate shop did so. I love when skate shops do this. Yes, they're not going to sell a lot of product. Yes, they may be a little green, if you will, to the workforce. But they have to learn at one point or another. And I think being skateboarders and working at skate shops is one of the best transitions because, number one, they know the product. They know how to use the product. And heck, some skaters may know them. So they may even bring clients themselves. So great transition. I love that about it. Second, he was having a hard time in his email. He described that he had a hard time focusing. Gee, we've never heard that one either. Like, I've never met a skateboarder that could just stay still for like hours on end. We're all like ADHD. We can't sit in one spot. We're skateboarders. We're meant to move around and fall and get back up and fall and get back up indefinitely until the lights are cut off. So the idea of sitting in a classroom or in front of a textbook and reading it and then later taking tests about it is like freaking an automatic migraine to anyone that I know, to everyone that I know, to myself. So that's not fun, but something shifted in Jonathan's life. And I think you guys caught that his family was growing. And again, Jonathan, if you're watching this, is my interpretation, man. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments here, but what I think that happened here is that skateboarders, we're like polar opposites in time. We can be both, actually. We can be extremely selfless while being extremely selfish. What do I mean by that? Well, Jonathan didn't care about education until his family grew. What happens when you take on more financial responsibility? Like, God dang, how much are those diapers again? Holy crap, dude. Like, oh my God. I need to do something about this. This is not going to pay the bills. Not that there's anything wrong in working in a restaurant or at a skate shop. Nothing wrong with that. But if your family is growing, that automatically means more money, buddy. More money. So I feel like that like triggered something in his brain. And he's like, bro, no. I can't. I got to stop messing around. Goes and gets several degrees, dude. Something that I haven't even done myself. Not planning on doing either, but just highlighting Jonathan's story. That, here's the selfless part kicks in, right? Was extremely selfish, now selfless. I got a freaking family, dude. Now every time Jonathan wakes up, I'm not thinking about, what does Jonathan want to do today? No, dude. Jonathan has a family. Oh, okay. I want to do it for them. And that works. Now you have a mission, a motive behind it. Now you wake up with a different purpose in life. Go get those degrees. Now, he did mention student loans, and that is a very, very much a real thing. So we'll talk about those in a little bit, but he went through that and eventually found several jobs that were in this industry now. I got the degrees. I can work in this field. California, boom. Highest paying, I guess, stage in life so far. Then he took a pay cut for a more fulfilling job. And here's again where skaters are selfless. A lot of skaters out there, and I pay my respects to these skaters. I'm not so much like this, but I met so many people that are. You really value the impact that your work brings to your community. If the work isn't so fulfilling, a lot of skaters don't like that. I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact, is what a lot of you guys have told me. Like, dude, I don't care about the highest paying job. Am I saving lives? Am I making people's lives better? Am I just making giant corporations more money? Like, I get that. I get that. And I'm not so selfless in that area. That's one of my flaws. And I can call myself out any day. I don't have an issue with that. Jonathan, totally different. Dude took a pay cut with his family growing to have a more meaningful impact on people's lives and actually reaching a goal, which was to move to Hawaii and raising his kids there. It's in a more isolated.
This is amazing. He's so guilty.
Paradise-ish environment, which is pretty dope. But that's what he's doing. So here's a timeline. Here are the financials, the timeline of education that is required to enter this field or the money that can be brought in by working in this field. Timeline: skate shop job, 1999 to 2002. It was part-time hourly retail work. It's not the sexiest, it's not the most, I guess, handsomely paid. Entry-level pay, right? Not great. He didn't specify how much, but it wasn't great. Then he moved to the restaurant industry, mid-2000s. Hourly service work, even though you get tips and other incentives, it's no long-term and it's not financially stable. So I wouldn't say it would be a move to be there for a very long time. Perhaps growing family, not the most ideal. Very unstable. No shame in it, just unstable. College years, 2008 to 2014, lived primarily on student loans. So again, he was basically poor, living off of the loans themselves. So very low income, financial strain, but high professional fulfillment. And we talked about that. Now here's where the money comes in from his career, his actual jobs that he had. California State Hospital rehab therapist, approximately 6 years. Salary starting at approximately $110,000 per year. Plus, here are some benefits. Union position, good. It's always good. There's a lot of people vouching for you and protecting you as an employee. Strong job security, full health care. I mean, if you work for the health industry, medical industry, I can understand that's easier. Pension and retirement system. Dude, pensions are rare nowadays. A lot of you guys know this. Hardly anyone offers pensions. Great. I think that's union-based as well, but pension and retirement system. And here's a keynote, because this is important for this topic of this conversation. This was the peak of his earning in his career. Not that it's the most important thing, but quite important. The peak of his earning was $110,000 at the California State Hospital. Next, Veterans Affairs, VA, Honolulu, 2022, starting salary approximately $75,000 per year. Significant pay cut from the California role. However, insurance is still excellent. Strong federal retirement package. Public service loan forgiveness, PSLF eligibility. So he's trying to pursue getting rid of his loans, dude. So boss, so key here. I'm not just like, well, have a good job, like a decent job. Well, how about you have a decent job and kill the loan that's following you around? So I think that's very critical. If you engage in student loans, find ways to get rid of them. Role highlight, help start an art therapy program. This looks amazing on resumes. Yes, I have this degree. Yes, I work as, this is my title. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. I started a program. That's pretty fire on a resume. I've looked at people and hired people because they've initiated programs in companies, because there's so much involved in that. Great job, Jonathan. Now, here's a risk factor, the job stability due to federal policy changes. So depending on the nature of the business, like if it's federal hospital, if it's a state hospital, any government changes, as we recently saw in the country, are instantly impacted. So a little bit of instability there, but I mean, you can't forecast those. Now we reach his current role, Hawaii State Hospital, salary approximately $60,000 per year. Additional income is possibility of overtime, benefits, state employment, health coverage, union environment, lower pay for improved work satisfaction and location. Remember, he wanted to move to Hawaii a long time ago to raise his family. He's doing that now. And also his work is a lot more fulfilling with the criminally insane. So here's where us as adults, we have to make that decision. Do I stay with the highest paycheck I can possibly find, but my job could potentially suck? It's so mechanical and routinary. I don't really change people's lives. I'm just looked at as numbers. I'm dealing with people, not humans, but numbers. Or the pay is perhaps not the highest. It may shrink a little bit, but I go to work with a freaking smile the whole freaking day, bro. Very, very rarely do I get pissed off or overwhelmed, because I know the impact of what I'm doing on a daily basis. Impacting my environment, changing people's lives and their families' lives. So skateboarders are very motivated, very, very selfless, altruistic in many cases. I've met so many people that care more about the impact than the money. I could get better in that area. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm a little bit slightly more on the selfish side there. I'm trying to get better at it. But hats off to anyone that's taking pay cuts to have a bigger impact on the community. Dude, seriously, hats off, for reals. So let's talk about the education cost and debt. Okay, so the requirements, yes, degrees are required. Bachelor's, art and psychology, and then master's for the art therapy. I don't think you need the master's. And Jonathan, if you're watching, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you need the master's to enter the field. I think the master's helps, especially if you're in that art therapy program. But I think the bachelor's is the primary thing that gets you in. Correct me if I'm wrong. My wife is in the medical field, has a medical degree, and I can interpret some things. So I may be still off, so let me know. And the bad thing about the education is that those loans are still carrying him right now. But he anticipates approximately one more year remaining, and he may get that off his record or his credit or whatever, wherever it is that it gets logged in. I don't have student debt, so I don't know exactly where it gets logged, but it's following him around. So yeah, the biggest takeaway from Jonathan's story is that you may have goals and you may have certain ambitions. It may not always be money. Some people consider success not necessarily the biggest paycheck. It could be moving my family where I always wanted to, even if the paycheck is not the best, and growing that family in a positive environment. Maybe it's better than California. Maybe it's better than New York. You're in Hawaii, dude. The freaking beach. It's paradise out there, bro. So success, don't fall into that trap where it's like, money, money, money. Nah, bro. It's stability, a good family, good quality of raising your children. So hats off to all the parents out there, man. If you're watching if you're a parent, dude, salute to you, bro. Like, seriously. Guys, this was it from Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan, for sending this information. I got a next one lined up for you guys. Totally different, bro. Totally different. The guy's not even using his degree. But that'll be on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Send me your stories. I still want to hear them. We can set up a video or send me an email. I want to hear your story. Share the money, the financials, and the education, please. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one.